My live is not working now, bro. I gotta figure out. Should not work. I don't think I'm shit now. Just a trade appreciation for the something I see them. Very cool. This is my bad enjoying. Come on, buddy. It's fun, bro. Okay, small market is about the branding, which you can take credit. Listen, if you want me to help you pick the value because I see a lot of similarities, you know what I'm saying? You know, ready to go! It's not first. Go to play! Some shit is designer is fine. That shit is bad. I'm a bad boy. This talking about collection of hey, give us a song, guys. Like that. Smart work, but you know the answer is it's streaming.
Larbatsa, shipwreck survivor.
Calming down. Shit, listen, this is generation, right? It's a new time.
Give voice, you cons.
Now what's the ship that ever did sail on a Irish on a windy day? Wait for day, wait for day, wait for day that we get on. She was built in brown and tight, out to get her with bits and twice. And wait for day, wait for day, wait for day that we get on. Nothing in a galley, nothing in a hole. Skipper's turned in with a bag and all. And we're waiting for day, wait for day, wait for day that we get on. Off nest they sprang a leak, here and pour out in the street. Wait for day, wait for day, wait for day we get on. We worked our way round Scalby Nest when I went back round to west. We're waiting for
and then they go all the time. It's gonna say June 19th, 3:39 a.m. He was unalive. And his mans don't even know he's dead. It's so late. Wake up, his mom. When his mans wake up in the morning, they gonna be on that. Bro, this literally. Press me. They kind of can't hear him say where you from. You didn't hear this nigga say where you from. I go. I'm to this. You know, yeah. I'm to this. They got they changed. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. 100 Ks. They give up the chat.
Give me some. Your voice.
Bound to Liverpool town.
Get a head start. Revenue from the spin and brand performance exclusive audience scale and build awareness of people who are ready to make a change.
Ready to spit, sir. Incoming fire!
Shooting the mine.
Where's the top? Here it comes! Steady, lads! Enemy! Fire! It's bad! Brace yourself! Kindling, Captain!
Sierra. Channel thing what we'll make. Yeah, I got it right.
What?
Easy. And then
Where am I to go? Where am I to go? I roll and go. Oh, where am I to go?
Next time, then they got he came like the minions. He came straight. Just that's like they see.
There, Captain.
I was like this year. That's what game. I live. That's what make a film Max. Watching me like a real film, like I actually and episodes and shit. That's just a good plot. Back from filming. The character with the students, also with the got fast.
Batten yourself!
It's slow. So you don't.
Right!
This much. It's like performance. hot. Said, outside of his drain. That's like, how to do that? Bro, you got the bit, you got the colors, you got the setting. It's like, she was like, it was like, she was make this shit to see good shit. So it's not small. It's like, animated TV show. Cartoon, like that was actually
dirty old man's on a boat.
Go, full sail!
Muzzle them all!
Heave him up and away we'll go. Way to Vienna. We'll heave him up and away we'll go. We're all bound over the mountain. We'll heave him up from down below. Way to Vienna. For that is where the cocks do crow. We're all bound over the mountain. And if we drown while we are young, way to Vienna. It's better to drown than to wait to be hung. We're all bound over the mountain. Oh, growl ye may, but go ye must. Way to Vienna. If you growl too hard, your head shall bust. We're all bound over the mountain. Up socks you cocks and her to bust. Way to Vienna. And go below to your old ditty box. All bound over the mountain. Oh, rock and shake her one more drag. Way to Vienna. Oh, bend your duds and back your bag. We're all down over the mountain. As high road was falling, away you gonna Poland. As high road was falling, I met a lady fair. Say, hey, ring-a-ting-a-ting-a, ha-ha. Good morning, ladies all. Away you gonna Poland. Hey, ring-a-ting-a-ting-a, ha-ha. Good morning, ladies all. The first time that I saw her, away you gonna Poland. The first time that I saw her, that saucy gal of mine. Hey, ring-a-ting-a-ting-a, ha-ha. Good morning, ladies all. Away you gonna Poland. Hey, ring-a-ting-a-ting-a, ha-ha. Good morning, ladies all. But when she found that I was skin, away you gonna Poland. But when she found that I was skin, she left me standing there. Hey, ring-a-ting-a-ting-a, ha-ha. Good morning, ladies all. Away you gonna Poland.
Don't forget it's the Royal! Loose wings!
Snacks, anything like
You
that.
young sailor, and listen to me. I'll sing you a song of the fish in the sea. Windy weather, stormy weather, boys, when the wind blows, we're all together, boys, blowing with oh, Johnny Sou'wester, boys, and she goes. Jump sea with a slippery tail. Climbs up aloft and reaps the topsail. Windy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys, when the wind blows, we're all together, boys, blowing with blows. Jolly Sylvester was there. Jumps the shark with his 9 rows of teeth. You eat the dough, boys, and I'll eat the beef. Windy weather, boys, stormy weather, boys, when the wind blows, we're all together. All the winds blow. Jolly Sylvester, boys, there he goes. Up jumps the whale, the largest of all. If you want a new wind well blow, he's a squall. Short the sail, get off the squall.
Furl the main! Haul down and clew up!
Jolly Sylvester, boys, there he goes. Down to Trinidad to see Sally Brown, boys. Down to Trinidad to see Sally Brown, boys. Lovely on the foreyard, she's lovely down below, boys. She's lovely because she loves me, that's all I want to know. Oh, Captain Bay.
What they doing? But people don't be doing that.
Bro, I didn't talk to every small streamer. You know, I make you feel like in the moment, oh yeah, I got a lot of views, and then once all that shit go away, it's like it's back to normal. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's like it's a blessing and a curse.
Boom, right? Yeah, like turn on notifications. Well, people be asking for subs.
You know that's
Not good.
Look. One more thing. Before you zero in and essential, I think a better thing would be a buddy system.
No, we talking about today.
But I'm saying like,
Oh, bro, everybody want to war.
no, we don't, bro. I don't want to, bro. I don't need war. I am burning from this hot sauce.
World Cup tomorrow too.
See, Argentina versus Spain.
You two going to watch party?
You do something old trigger.
Nah, you two get the closest everyone. Damn, we're going. Yo, we talking about a buddy system.
I think this is what I think.
Oh, boy, nobody going to fuck cruise.
This is. If you tell us, nigga. I think the firm sitting will be more impacted than rate. So the thing, if I rated,
Wherever you go in life, you've always got your pride. Everywhere you go, behind everything you do. Widener University. Many rules.
and the nigga, and that nigga ain't doing something crazy, makes no difference. It's really big. It's hard to see.
Yo, I don't want to go hang on that.
Two.
Oh, what?
Thanks about $6. Everything $6. Little bits.
Come on, you got no beverage?
Somebody's like, must be on these already, bro.
Yo! He told him shit.
I wasn't playing, bro. I ain't got no money. He handsome.
How much?
6.
That's not fees.
Yeah, and it's a fact is $2.4. Yeah, I want shit, bro.
Can I give it to Risa?
Look. Clarence did bought these, bro. No. Clarence bought it. Please,
Yo, I ain't gonna be hands.
Alright, bro.
Yo,
Give
yeah.
him a Lambo on his fist.
You what?
Lambo on his fist.
Yo, give me a good reason, man.
He just bought the last one, bro.
Try this one.
He bought it. Oh, all right, word.
So it's a pleasure doing business with y'all boys, man.
You ain't trying to bless me, big coach.
Big trade center. What you got?
Hold the snacks, bro. I got noodles, I got chips, I got executed.
Out of here.
I got Kool-Aid lollipop.
Your fight is at 7:30.
I ain't got a Kool-Aid lollipop.
What's wrong with you?
The Kool-Aid lollipop. You ain't food. I got more chips than that bullshit. I got hot plans, hot fries, all that shit.
Lollipop. What's that?
Kool-Aid lollipops, bro.
Let me get a food.
Fuck. We had a flight in the morning for real. We kicked out.
He said we should raid him. I'm like, we should raid him and dip. I'm like, nigga, no. We should do a buddy system.
Yeah, we 3 hours.
3 hours with a small creator. You literally assign
I
us.
feel like today we ain't really had nothing to, like we ain't had no time to really do that. I feel like we had to game right when we came. Then we, went out and yeah, we had an opportunity. It was a lot. We just tired, bro.
I mean, we want to sit on this cold. Yeah, you know, it's not cool. It's not cool. Be honest. If you think like how to uplift the small creators, it's just you gotta give us some cool shit. Like, what to do? Guys, Kareem did it. We should help him put a score. I did it. Chat.
We ain't having time. We was going away with the.
Hold on. Haven't I been legal with all small creators? I gotta post a reel real quick. I don't want to look. You want to post a red at 4 to 5 in the morning?
He shot a rub it on our face, bro.
He got to take it on the face something cool. He not can't afford to me. He's not in your hours, bro.
Post a reel.
Post the reel real quick.
I'm gonna post a reel Friday.
Walk away to post.
Alright, you know see that's so it's psychology, bro. Or psychology.
You think he valedictorian in real life, though. Fast.
Tell the nigga like, what you gotta think, man? 5'3".
Feel me? You know, things like that. That's pretty good. You know, it's just, he's fucking soft. He's a soft spot. Yeah, he does. That real.
No, I'm good.
Oh my god, bro. I'm so excited for that real, guys. Come on, come on. Really back to me. I never said he back to me after 9 months. I'm trying to go away for 9 months. What? I'm joking. Sure. Calm down, don't that's real shit though. It's perfect.
I was gonna ask you that.
Yo,
I just feel on a real break though. Was you speeding and strange?
Yes, every day. But it's worth it again because I learned shit about myself. No, and I'm more smarter in situations, and I'm more mindful, and I'm a bit more wise. So you gotta get it over the 9 months. So I think I could recommend it. Hey, you should go to Vegas at some point.
For sure.
I got 20
after 30 day stream. Yeah, at least do a 30 day.
Which is break. Jesus Christ. Break.
Hell no.
Hopefully I just put it back today.
Fight 2. Yeah, that's a second.
Hey, look.
Oh, Captain Baker, how can you destroy your cargo? Some must go and some must go.
A brand new ride awakens. Smarter than ever.
I've seen that room before. I'm Eric Voss of the New York Stars channel, and this is a breakdown of the Avengers Doomsday trailer. From Dr. Doom to Robert Downey Jr.'s Latvian accent to Avengers teaming with X-Men and fighting them, forming our wildest crossover dreams come true. There's so much to break down here. This footage has been living rent-free in my brain since I saw a version of it at a preview event in April. But now that I can go through it frame by frame, I can't believe how many more details there was in this.
Charlie Brown is the gal for me. Charlie Brown is the gal for me.
even this new shot of Loki in his TVA ID badge that I've never seen before, and I could do an hour on it. In this video, I'm going to cover everything you might have missed from this Doomsday trailer. Let's go. What am I wearing? You just asked inappropriately. Well, this is our Open Your Eyes Doomsday-inspired design available exclusively at our merch store, nerdriot.shop. Hey, if you have a new Rockstar shirt like this, take a selfie of yourself wearing it, post it, tag us, and we will shout you out in a video. Like Julie Sherwood, who got her friend Clinton Greenspan one of our Daredevil you've seen outside the X-Mansion, Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, 1407 Gray Malkin Lane, Salem Center, Westchester County, New York. The exact address of the X-Mansion from the Fox X-Men movies. We last saw these Fox-era X-Men in their continuity in 2014's X-Men Days of Future Past. In that film, Wolverine went back in time by consciousness, hopping back into his younger body in the year 1973 to erase and rewrite a dystopian future, which he did, and found himself in a seemingly pleasant 2024 with all of the X-Men who died in the earlier X-Men films alive again, including Charles Xavier, Scott Summers Cyclops, and Jean Grey. Only Wolverine remembered what the alternate history would have looked like, and arguably Professor X after the two debriefed. That X-Men universe's numerical designation is Earth 10005. Since that movie, we learned in Deadpool and Wolverine that Deadpool's universe is that same universe, and in that universe, Wolverine is the anchor being of it. An anchor being is an individual whose death triggers the beginning of the end of that universe. Deadpool and Wolverine ended with Deadpool finding a different Wolverine, the drunk Wolverine, to take the place of the one who died in the events of the Logan film, and according to B-15, that universe was healthy once more, but now it's one of three universes colliding in this film in this incursion event. 10005, 616, and 828. We don't know yet if anchor beings will factor into the Doomsday plot, but we also don't know at this point if Hugh Jackman's Wolverine will appear in Doomsday, but along with all of these other returning X-Men, there is a still alive Wolverine somewhere amongst them. And here it is. We hear Robert Downey Jr.'s voice as Dr. Victor Von Doom. So this is Downey's take on a Latvian accent. Latveria is not a real country, and its exact geography often changes depending on which Marvel title we see the map in, but it's generally understood to be Eastern Europe. When we've heard voice actors play Dr. Doom in the past, like Paul Dobson in Fantastic Four: World's Greatest Heroes, and in other media, Maurice LaMarche in Ultimate Spider-Man and Adventures Assemble, or Ross Marquand very briefly in X-Men 97, they tend to go with a generic, let's say, Romanian accent. Interestingly, Sebastian Stan is Romanian and can speak Romanian. I wonder if he consulted with Robert Downey Jr. on how to do this exactly. Dr. Doom is, of course, considered Marvel's greatest villain. At first an enemy to the Fantastic Four, actually a one-time college rival to Reed Richards, who went on to become ruler of Latveria, tinkering away in his Doomstadt castle as he masters both science and magic. A South by Southwest London event earlier this year included various references to Doom's Latvian origin. Vladimir Fortunov was the name of the cruel Latvian dictator who ruled the country before Victor Von Doom overthrew him. The rapprochement refers to an annual Latvian festival where traditionally Latvians seek to make peace with their enemies, celebrated in honor of the death of Doom's mother, Cynthia Von Doom. Cynthia Von Doom was his mother, and in certain retcons of his backstory, Dr. Doom lost his mother in a bad deal with Mephisto, and his pursuit of science and magic was all motivated by a mission to get her back from Mephisto. The Zaviro refers to the clan that Doom's parents, his mother Cynthia and his father Vernon, were a part of, the clan that Victor would later lead in overthrowing Vladimir Fortunov, and Hasselstadt is the original name of the Doomstadt, the capital of Latveria. When Doom overthrew Fortunov, he renamed it Doomstadt after the family name of his mother and father. So the Russo brothers and Marvel head Kevin Feige have confirmed that Avengers Doomsday and its 2027 follow-up film, Avengers Secret Wars, are confirmed to be adapting the Jonathan Hickman comic storyline Time Runs Out that leads into the 2015 Secret Wars crossover event, in which Dr. Doom is the primary villain of it. Actually, Doom begins this story in a race against time to locate all Molecule Men in every universe. Owen Reese, Molecule Man, sort of functions as the anchor being of that storyline, on a mission to save the multiverse from incursions that are destroying every universe.
My name is Victoria Treadwell. I'm a beauty pageant winner and an overdose. People come up to me and they go, "You don't look like that person." One thing that I want people to know about substance use disorder, it can happen to anyone. Recovery writes new chapters. Turn the page on stigma. The game was tied.
Well, someone needs to win. Well, then we shall play.
Bonus time.
No. Ball two.
They needed
Extra time.
and that's how it happened. Too intimate with extra.
Doomverse presents himself under a secret identity known as Rabam Alal, masquerading as a multiverse messiah to fool the religious faction known as the Black Swans. But at some point, Dr. Doom used his own race to absorb the power of the Beyonders and become God Emperor Doom with absolute power over a new Earth that he builds out of the fractured pieces of the other realities shattered by incursions, a new Earth known as Battleworld. We feel pretty confident that Marvel is working toward that power up by Doom because they put the exact comic where that happens in both the movie of Deadpool and Wolverine and its first trailer, Secret Wars #5. For the Dr. Doom in this movie, Joe Russo said at CinemaCon in April,
Victor Von Doom is the greatest Marvel villain. Yes, he's great. But he's not simply a villain. He's one of the most complex Marvel characters. He's a scientist, a technologist, a genius, magician. It's always 3 moves ahead of even the most brilliant heroes, which is what makes him virtually unbeatable.
Shout out to Brandon Davis for that footage, give him a follow. But by describing Dr. Doom as a scientist, technologist, genius, and a magician, Russo clearly wants us to think of this iconic list of modifiers.
Take that off, what are you? Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Yes, he is his world's Tony Stark, born into different circumstances with a different name. When Downey was first announced, he and the directors explained it this way.
New mouse. Same task.
The same task we've all been assuming is what Tony Stark dreamed of in Avengers Age of Ultron. So when we hear Doom's line now in the trailer, it does sound like a warning to someone he loves, someone he's trying to get in the mindset of making a difficult sacrifice. In recent months, we've learned of British actress Matilda Firth being cast as a little girl in Avengers Doomsday. She has quite a resume, including Disney's Disenchanted. Some have been wondering if she could be a variant of Morgan Stark, in this case, Dr. Doom's daughter. On Father's Day, Robert Downey Jr. posted yet another one of his Dr. Doom holiday-themed Instagram posts that indicated that this Dr. Doom will, in this movie, or maybe once did before this movie began, have a child. Actually, the official poster for this movie seems to confirm that, showing Dr. Doom looking at this huge tapestry in what I assume is a Doomstot, showing what I assume is his child and maybe his wife in this heavenly pose above an earth surrounded by angels. Maybe in this movie they're going to change it from Doom's mother to his wife being named Cynthia. And the focus on the globe here, I think, will speak to Doom's obsession with an entire armored earth and building a perfect utopian earth that he calls Battleworld using the pieces of these 3 other earths. Alternatively, this tapestry could show a young Victor with his mother Cynthia, whom he now prefers to see living with the angels when she's actually in hell with Mephisto. Actually, in alternate timelines of the comics, Dr. Doom has a daughter with Sue Storm, a daughter named Valeria. An interest in a child of Sue Storm can explain Doom's interest in Franklin Richards in the post-credit scene of Fantastic Four First Steps, and why it was so important that it was Sue in that scene and not Sue and Reed, or just Reed. Joe Russo also saying 3 moves ahead of even the most brilliant heroes is also a reference to chess, a game played by Professor X and Magneto, specifically in the 3rd teaser that we saw in December. And Dr. Doom is often depicted as a chess master, and in chess you often have to make sacrifice plays. Now, in the lead up to South by Southwest London, the Russo brothers also revealed the official Latvian flag sigil for this movie, and we should note that it is different than the sigil on the Latvian flag that we saw at the Future Foundation in Fantastic Four First Steps. I think that was the former heraldry of the country, and the reason why it's new now is that Victor Von Doom has successfully staged a coup d'etat. It was supposed to be Vladimir Fortunov attending this Future Foundation conference, the former dictator, but the Civil War back home is what led to his absence. We see Professor X at the X Mansion in his wheelchair, looking out one of the windows, shielding his eyes. In the window beyond, you can see the blue rim of another spherical atmosphere in the sky, and now a fiery rift tears into this atmosphere. This is an incursion, what it looks like from the ground level, what John Krasinski's Reed Richards described in Multiverse of Madness, when 2 or more Earths from alternate realities collide, destroying one or both completely. The fact that they're atmospheres are colliding tells us that these 3 Earths will have open rifts among each other, allowing characters to move among the 3 as the countdown continues to their cores merging. In many shots of the X-Mansion and Avengers Tower, you'll notice the sky is this kind of red-orange color. That is what it looks like with an alternate Earth appearing in red in the sky in the Hickman comics. In the 3rd teaser, we saw that this version of the X-Mansion has been heavily damaged, but it has also been modified from the last time we saw it, with more stained glass than the windows had in past times we've seen it. As we hear the "before this day is done" part of Doom's quote, we see our first shot of Dr. Doom with his metal mask, his metallic clasps, and this green hooded cloak. He's kneeling in this exterior location with various statues and these broken satellite dishes that I think is outside the expansion. You'll notice behind him is that same hazy red sky with a tinted sun forming a lens flare past his head and a green circle at the far left-hand side of the lens flare. This circular cape clasp has been featured in a lot of banners and poster art for Dr. Doom, and I think it might be a source of his magical runic protection over his armor. There's certainly some kind of magical enchantment on Doom's armor, especially if it can block Thor's Stormbreaker at the end of the trailer. This green glow from the lens flare might be caused by the light refracting through whatever magical barrier he has around himself. Another interesting detail, on Doom's shoulder pauldron, you can see another red-tinted light source being reflected behind us. So rather than suns, we might be seeing two red Earths in different parts of the sky of wherever this is. So for anybody asking for a visual of what incursions will look like, imagine the red crescent in the sky beyond the staircase of the Sanctum Sanctorum in the post-incursion universe in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Imagine that, but also imagine three spheres or three bubbles that have all collided like a triple spherical Venn diagram with overlapping sections, like three bubbles that have found their way into each other, forming a Mickey. That would allow the atmospheres of all three Earths to be shared, and you could look up from the ground of one Earth up through a rift where those bubbles overlap and see the tops of buildings of another Earth looking down at you. Basically, as these three cores merge into each other, broken fragments will be sucked up to form a fourth Earth that will be called Battleworld. Here we see the new Avengers Tower. It's the tower 14 months after Thunderbolts, when Val was in the process of turning it into the Sentry Watchtower. That reconstruction was still underway throughout the Thunderbolts film, but now it has been completed. We actually saw this structure from a distance in Daredevil Born Again Season 2 in Episode 1 and in Episode 7. It's the same white A on the red field that we saw in the blast door, the penthouse level at the beginning of the Thunderbolts post-credit scene. Why does the tower have this lobster claw shape? What are these extra thinner sections even serving? Well, remember that there was this line in the Thunderbolts post-credit scene.
And now there's this huge space crisis and no one's telling us about it.
We're running out of space already? It's impossible. This building is enormous.
Outer space.
Outer space.
Round of threat analysis, I want a full report.
Yeah, before the Fantastic Four ship even showed up, there was another huge space crisis that no one was telling the new Avengers about. I think it was an early sign of one of these incursions, and I think these higher sections of Avengers Tower serve as antennae to connect with satellites that allow them to observe things in orbit. Behind Avengers Tower, that very tall building, is the JP Morgan Chase World Headquarters, a rather new skyscraper completed in our world in 2025.
I want out there. Liquid IV is the hero I need today. Liquid IV and Spider-Man, brand new day.
A brand new ride awakens.
Faster than ever.
Smarter than ever.
More heroic than...
Yeah, you get it. New day, new ride. Spider-Man, brand new day. No BMWs were harmed during the making of this movie.
A circular door opens and we see the Fantastic Four. Reed Richards in this cool white jacket, Johnny Storm and Sue Storm in blue jackets, and Ben, no jacket. Thor walks behind them carrying Stormbreaker. They seem to be coming from their spaceship that we saw in the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, and though we don't see him in this shot, I think Steve Rogers is in the back there. And Herbie also, of course, would be with them. I'll explain why later in the video. But we know Thor starts with the Fantastic Four from this shot alone. In the second teaser, we see Thor with his adopted daughter, Love, Chris Hemsworth's real-life daughter, India Rose Hemsworth, who is originally the dead daughter of Gore the God Butcher, resurrected by the reincarnated form of Eternity into Love. But he seems to lose her in this movie because he prays to Odin in a forest location for her safety. Now they walk into the Avengers Tower penthouse to see Captain America suited up with the shield strapped to his back, Bucky Barnes wearing his new suit from the Thunderbolts post-credit scene with the red star on the sleeve, and Scott Lang in his Ant-Man suit. A wide shot of this room where this orange-colored sunlight streaks in from the sky shows the full assembly. On the left, the Thunderbolts, aka the new Avengers, with John Walker in his new beret, Red Guardian Alexei Shostakov in his product-covered jumpsuit. Behind them both, barely visible in the frame on the far left, that's actually Bob Reynolds, Louis Pullman, aka Sentry, wearing the same socks with sandals that he was wearing in the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, reading Rick Rubin's The Creative Act, A Way of Being. To the right of Alexei is Yelena Belova, Bucky Barnes with his new outfit, and Ava Starr, Ghost. On the right are the old Avengers, Scott Lang, Sam Wilson, and Thor. And again, I think Steve Rogers is also in this room, just hidden from view or framed out of this shot. But in the middle, on that raised platform by the screen wall, are the Fantastic Four. Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben. On this screen wall, the same screen where the Thunderbolts saw the Fantastic Four ship arriving, is a visual display that I'm assuming comes from Reed or Herbie's computer explaining this incursion crisis. 3 blue Earths connected by lines in the center. This visual comes directly from Reed's multiverse explanation in Jonathan Hickman and Steve Epstein's New Avengers Volume 3, Number 2 from 2013, where Reed explains to the Illuminati incursions and almost a word-for-word explanation of what John Krasinski's Reed Richards echoed from the Illuminati Deus in Multiverse of Madness. On the left of the screen, you can see another diagram showing how these 3 Earths are also just half circles now with their cores exposed. Reed is demonstrating how all 3 of these Earths are going to be damaged, broken apart, but it seems to be their magnetic cores that are being drawn together. Each of the exposed cores are color-coded, blue, red, and yellow, which correspond to the blue, red, and yellow circles on the right side of screen. Interesting, not represented as a color green, which seems to be the color of Doom in this movie, maybe the color tone to his new battle world that forms. There's also a digital countdown beneath that image, like the countdown clock that Marvel has had on their YouTube channel, showing how much time they have left until this incursion process is complete. And I think another bit of dialogue from this scene was teased last night with the weekly every Sunday at 7 tweet of the Fantastic Four that finally, after 75 weeks, was updated.
We make a point to do family dinner every week. Sunday at 7, on the dot, no matter what.
How long do we have?
Not long.
That is creepy as hell. Really what we're seeing here is a meeting of the minds where all the heroes are recognizing this incursion crisis, but there's nothing on the screen about Dr. Doom. I assume that Sue Storm must see Dr. Doom as relevant to the crisis if he took their son. In this movie, 3 Marvel universes are colliding. Earth 616, that's the MCU we've known since Iron Man. Earth 10005 from the X-Men and Deadpool movies, and Earth 828, the Fantastic Four universe of First Steps. In Multiverse of Madness, we learn that an incursion is when multiple universes collide and destroy each other. In the 838 universe, incursions could be caused by using dark magic from the Darkhold to dreamwalk into the body of your variant. But why are these incursions happening? Well, this movie could say it's just a natural flow of the multiverse for this kind of thing to happen. Or this movie could try to link everything since Endgame and say that a number of breaches and violations to space-time and reality all put cracks in the dam. When Steve Rogers decided to stay in the past, when Doctor Strange and Spider-Man tinkered with the Runes of Call spell in No Way Home, when Wanda Maximoff and Doctor Strange dreamwalked in Multiverse of Madness, when Dar-Ben used the quantum bands and universal weapon to open the rift that left Monica Rambeau stranded in the X-Men universe in Marvel's, when the X-Men and Days of Future Past got away with altering their timeline, and or when Loki did what he did to allow the multiverse to exist, not as a strictly pruned sacred timeline, but as a chaotically branching tree of eventualities. Maybe this movie is going to say that all of these things caused incursions and the deaths of universes, but there's some other force at play causing these 3 universes to collide at the same time, like 2 Earths colliding, a natural accident, but 3 merging all at the same time without 2 bumping into each other first and then a 3rd one joining? That kind of feels like it was deliberate. Someone nudging these 3 Earths together. Reed Richards would certainly view that as more than a coincidence. Over all of this, lasting through the end of the trailer, Thor gives this awesome, angry speech that sounds more pissed off than Chris Hemsworth has ever sounded as a character. I fought with many warriors in my time. They were far stronger than all of us put together, and they died. They died facing enemies and threats that scare me far less than this one. Everything they sacrifice will be for nothing if we do not stand together. Put aside your petty squabbles. Presume nothing except this. If you return, you will return as brothers and sisters. But mark my words, we're going to need a miracle. The tone Chris Hemsworth strikes here is darker and more bitter than we've ever heard from him as Thor. Scolding, I would say. In fact, it's similar to his dad when he did this in the first Thor movie. Father. By these warriors, Thor is referring to Iron Man, Tony Stark, Natasha Romanoff, Loki, Heimdall, Vision, Gamora, and I guess Jane Foster as well, in addition to all the heroes who died in Infinity War and Endgame and stayed dead. Thor also lost the Asgardians that other Avengers didn't get to know too well. You'll notice Thor still bears the scar on the left side of his face from where Hela slashed out his eye in Ragnarok. So those scars, the last Doomsday event of his people, still sting. Ragnarok and Doomsday are, after all, synonyms, meaning the same apocalyptic thing. We see Namor sitting on his throne that we saw in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Mesoamerican runes forming the back and a giant megalodon jawbone framed around it. Black Panther Shuri and M'Baku, king of Wakanda, are there with all the Wakandan warriors facing off in Namor's throne room with all the blue-skinned Talokan warriors. This Talokan throne room and the structure it's contained in are normally completely underwater in the bottom of the Caribbean Sea. Something has happened to bring it into this open air. In this throne room, as the camera pulls out, you can can see Bucky, John Walker, Joaquin Torres, and Ghost on the left, and Sue and Ben on the right. And it's certainly more prominent in these desert shots throughout the trailer. There is a huge wall of water surrounding all of this. This part of the ocean floor has been completely drained, and the water's being pushed back by some mysterious force. What is this? Well, the theory that I've been chewing on lately is that what we're seeing here is actually in the Void, the TVA multiversal dumping ground that we also saw in Deadpool and Wolverine. What we are seeing now is part of the 616 universe, the Kingdom of Talokan, that's already been extracted from the 616 universe and relocated to this newly forming Earth that will become Battleworld. And so I think part of the movie of Doomsday will be fought on that foundation that we will see completed by the end of the movie and explored more fully in Secret Wars. Both Namor and Shuri seem to have traded resources since the peace they reached at the end of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Notice how Namor has a new high collar with black embroidery that could be Wakandan vibranium weave, while Shuri has some turquoise pieces in her new Black Panther armor that look like Talokanil vibranium. Thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. When the weather is hot, everybody has a shorter fuse than normal. Being patient is hard when your shirt's stuck to your back with sweat, or when you can't sleep because of the heat. Frequently in the mornings, I'm trying to grab a nice coffee on the way into the office, and it feels like the days I'm in the biggest rush are also the days when everybody is in line in front of me, and they have 1,000 questions about what should be a straightforward coffee order. I know it's got nothing to do with me, but that doesn't stop frustrations like that from building up. My therapist has done a great job of reminding me that finding a healthy outlet for that frustration, whether that's a video game or going to the gym or whatever works for you, is more productive than just trying to ignore how you're feeling. Small, useful insights like that are so helpful in navigating whatever life throws at you, and BetterHelp can help connect you with a therapist who's trained to help guide you to the insights you need. Expansion. Specifically, Charles Xavier seems to be going through his classical statues phase. There's one on the bookshelf earlier inside, and there's some broken ones outside here. And we see the blade of Stormbreaker igniting with lightning as Thor marches toward Doctor Doom in the distance. Then we cut to the inside of the expansion as the wooden planks of the main staircase get blown apart in an exploding fireball. This explosion is coming from underneath. Is this from a hallway or room on the other side of the staircase? Or it could be coming from down below, like Cerebro or the Danger Room? Cyclops, James Marsden, steps forward in the next shot with the optic blast he emits through his ruby quartz lens eyepiece lighting up, making it seem like the blast was caused by him aiming at someone and not caring how much of his own mansion he's destroying, but I think it's from a different scene. Yes, as we saw in the December teaser, Cyclops is back to wearing the comic-accurate blue and yellow suit with the Y-strap utility belt. Again, this Open Your Eyes shirt is available on our merch store, nerdright.shop. But then on the upper level of the mansion, Gambit, Remy LeBeau, Channing Tatum fights Shang-Chi, Simu Liu. Gambit looks just as he does from his first appearance in Deadpool and Wolverine, and Shang-Chi blocks his glowing purple staff and playing cards with his glowing orange 10 rings on his arms. Channing Tatum's Gambit was not a member of the X-Men in any of the Fox-era X-Men films that we saw. He had his own solo film that was in development hell, and in Deadpool and Wolverine, they made fun of that by implying that Gambit was a product of the Void itself. In the post-credit scene of Deadpool and Wolverine, we saw a screen in the background of the TVA that showed Gambit still alive, and in a deleted scene that would have shown that shot in close-up, we see it was the glow of a sparkling sling ring portal that got Gambit out of the Void.
Going out there, significantly backed sugar-free hydration, 8 vitamins and nutrients. Liquid IV is the hero I need today. Ready to pay? And ready for a brand new day. Liquid IV and Spider-Man, brand new day.
It would mean that someone, like Deadpool, using Cassandra Nova's sling ring, or someone else, rescued Gambit and let him live with the X-Men in the X-Mansion. This seems to be part of the movie where the Avengers and other heroes coming from Earth 616 travel to the X-Mansion in Earth 10005 in hopes of getting something from the X-Mansion, and the X-Men there at the time are just going to put up a fight. We'll see more of these matchups later, but one that we don't see here but we know will happen based on interviews is a fight between Alan Cummings' Nightcrawler and Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards that will also reportedly involve Kelsey Grammer's Beast because the actor had to be on set for that day. So why are these groups fighting? The X-Men might be stinging after an earlier defeat and terrified of any superpowered people from one of these neighboring dimensions breaking into what's left of their house. I suspect this group of 616 heroes is trying to get to Cerebro. Now, why do I think we're going to see Cerebro again? Well, in this interview after CinemaCon, Kevin Feige said that it was emotional for him to revisit these sets that he used to work on as an associate producer 26 years ago.
Well, look, I think for fans, the notion of having the Avengers and X-Men together for the first time within our cinematic universe is incredibly exciting. It's been something that has been a long time coming. For me personally, my career started in 1998 on that first X-Men film. So, no spoilers, but there might be some sets that you recognize. Some sets that you recognize from those original films, and being on those sets 26 years later with my now 12-year-old son was pretty emotional.
But the issue is, this X-Mansion set seems to be a new design that looks nothing like the X-Mansion interior from any of the X-Men films that Feige would have worked on. So I think there is another set, like Cerebro, that we're going to see in this movie. And I think that's where the Reed Richards Nightcrawler beast fight will take place. Reed might need to get to Cerebro for some purpose, maybe to locate his mutant son, Franklin Richards. Or maybe there's some power to Cerebro that can stop what Doom is doing to smash these three worlds together. And a new shot that was not in the April CinemaCon trailer, Loki! He's back to wearing his analyst outfit that he wore throughout the Disney Plus series, specifically starting in Season 1, Episode 2, with the jacket and the neatly brushed back hair. And we see what seems to be his Time Variance Authority ID badge. He did not have this in the Loki series, but the back of this card shows a tree, and I think this is the Interso Worlds tree that the Sacred Timeline shifted to become the embodiment of in the final episode of the Loki series. We had assumed that Loki was trapped on that throne as the god of stories holding everything together. Now, it looks like our man can still move around. This could be actually a flashback to some of Loki's earlier days when he was with the TVA. But the thing is, we just didn't really see that many montages throughout that Loki series when this movie could say he made a side quest somewhere else, with the exception of the Season 2 thousands of years sequence. But specifically for those thousands of years, Loki was singularly focused on trying to avoid the temporal loom from exploding. And specifically, he didn't have that jacket anymore. Also, the TVA didn't yet have that Yggdrasil tree as part of its iconography. However, there were other posters throughout the TVA that referenced just the basic task of pruning branches. You'll see that his badge number is 414-620-701-401-220. The Loki variant we followed in the Disney Plus series was L1130. This number didn't immediately jump out to me as any kind of numerological reference, but trust me, I'm going to be digging into it. So where is Loki here? What is he doing? Well, the sky outside that curtain is the same color orange, so I'm guessing he's on one of the Earths threatened by an incursion. Notice the person holding this ID badge is wearing a wedding band. Loki doesn't have a wedding band. He ain't married. This perfectly manicured hand must belong to Steve Rogers, which means that Loki has appeared in Steve's house, the house that we saw in the first Doomsday teaser where Steve had the baby, meaning that God of Stories Loki must be grasping a strand of time representing Steve's universe, and within that universe has taken the form of the all-business TVA analyst to explain to Steve that what he did caused an incursion, warning him of the doom to come. And I think he's giving Steve an ID badge to verify that he's not the evil villain that Steve remembers, but rather just a variant who has had a change of heart in the time that he's worked with the TVA. I mean, that'd be a crazy sequence of events for Steve Rogers, right? Going from everything that he went through in Endgame, going back in time, going back to the Battle of New York, fighting his doppelganger self, having a Tesseract stolen from that Loki, and that same Loki who got away with the Tesseract during Endgame is the one who now shows up on his doorstep to say, hey, you really done messed up with the multiverse. Then we see the other group of 616 heroes meeting Shuri and M'Baku in the water-cleared, ocean-floored desert. We see Ben Grimm, Sue Storm, John Walker, Bucky Torres, Falcon, and Ava Starr Ghost Star there. But if half of the heroes we saw in Avengers Tower go to the expansion, I think this other half goes to Talokan, or the part of Talokan that's now in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Now, what else might be important about Talokan specifically? Well, in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, we saw some kind of glowing energy source coming out of that underwater structure of Talokan that was part of a deleted sequence that they didn't explore more fully in the movie. Since there was no natural sunlight that reached that ocean floor, I think they're drawing that power from the planet's core, the same planet core that Reed Richards has on the screen in the Avengers Tower penthouse. So I think Dr. Doom might be using that same energy source, and they just need to control it maybe to reverse the incursions. Back in the mansion, we see Reed Richards in his white jacket, his arm stretched out to restrain Sam's shield. Shang-Chi stands behind Reed, and the robot Herbie is to the right of Sam. I mean, Herbie even being there with them supports my theory that Reed needs some extra tech support in his Cerebro. On the window, you can see the Charles Xavier family crest with the blue X, from which Charles likely derived the X-Men logo, and you can also see the Latin motto of Fiat Lux Fiat Vis, or let there be light, let there be strength, the first word spoken by God in the book of Genesis to breathe existence into the universe, and a prayer that mankind, and perhaps mutant kind, will have the strength to survive. But dipping beneath Reed's outstretched arm, limbo style, style is Yelena Belova, gun drawn, and we see her opponent, Mystique. Rebecca Romijn is back playing shapeshifter Raven Darkholme. Jennifer Lawrence took over the character as they explore the younger era of the X-Men in the later films. But the way Days of Future Past left the timeline altered, older Mystique never got depowered in the events of X-Men The Last Stand, and she was still part of Magneto's mutant brotherhood that now seems to be in alliance with the X-Men. Actually, technically, she would still be posing as Senator Kelly. She has an updated appearance, shorter red hair and a white top, instead of defaulting to nude, and a lighter blue skin with dark spots. But the way she shapeshifts remains the layered scales effect that always looks so good, far better than any of the granular scroll shapeshifting that the MCU attempted years later. Mystique catches Yelena's baton and shapeshifts into her. So now we have two Yelenas with their hands around each other's throats, a similar visual to what Yelena had to go through in her Void of Shame in Thunderbolts. Charles Xavier emotionally embraces Ian McKellen's Magneto. There have been various reports that we will see Magneto destroy New Jersey in this movie, from Ian McKellen himself in a few interviews, but Joe Russo and Kevin Feige told Entertainment Weekly that McKellen might have misspoke, saying, "I don't think he destroys New Jersey, but there's a New Jersey presence." But if that does happen, it would be a reference to the 2009 Ultimatum story when Magneto What if I told you HPV vaccination was for men too? I don't know. I'm too old. You're a free flag. Okay, I'm not saying it's a view. But for those who don't get the virus, you cannot. Shame and Thunderbolts. Charles Xavier emotionally embraces Ian McKellen's Magneto. There have been various reports that we will see Magneto destroy New Jersey in this movie, from Ian McKellen himself in a few interviews, but Joe Russo and Kevin Feige told Entertainment Weekly that McKellen might have misspoke, saying, I don't think he destroys New Jersey, but there's a New Jersey presence. But if that does happen, it would be a reference to the 2009 Ultimatum story when Magneto reverses Earth's polarity. A lightning storm appears above New York City and a tsunami wipes out Manhattan. Scott Lang kisses the forehead of his daughter Cassie Lang. Catherine Newton confirmed that she will also be joining the cast of the film. And the fact that both of these characters are in this movie suggests to me that they're going to have to, at least in part, reference the conflict with Kang the Conqueror from Quantumania. I don't think they're going to say the name Kang, but I think they're going to refer to those other events generally. Then we see Johnny Storm hugging his sister Sue. There's a fiery light engulfing them, so maybe we're seeing the end of the movie, the beginnings of the horrific things that Doctor Doom does to Johnny Storm as Battleworld forms. He turns Johnny Storm into the literal son of this world. Then two shots of the ocean-cleared desert region suggest that Sue Storm is nodding to Shuri as she does the Wakandan salute and boards the Royal Wakandan ship. Then Sam Wilson lands on the floor of the X-Mansion during this fight with the X-Men. Gambit flips from the high balcony and strikes his glowing staff on the ground, causing a purple shockwave at the feet of Shang-Chi. On the floor around him are Sam Wilson, Mystique, who's still fighting Yelena, and Reed Richards. Then the shot that ended teaser number 3, Cyclops angrily releases a wide aperture optic blast as Sentinels stomp around him. One severed Sentinel head is to the right here. Why does Cyclops seem so hopeless? Well, there's some thought that Doom might have taken his son or daughter, Nathan Summers, aka Cable or Rachel Summers. Sue looks drained here as she emits her force field as the wall of seawater churns around her. And then we see Namor flying fast around that wall of the cleared out area. I think they might be trying to